So one day, I was playing Elden Ring, and I was just having fun using all the weapon skills, but then I realized that the animations were actually really cool looking and had some really cool looking effects. So I decided to animate them in 2D. So I quickly recorded reference material from the game to get started. Now make sure to stick around until the end to see the reactions from people in my Discord server, so without further ado, let's get into the video. So the first skill I started with was Goldbreaker, and I didn't think it would be that difficult to animate. However, I was not sure how to approach the effects. So firstly, I started looking at the reference to make sure to get the overall pose right, but after some mental gymnastics, I was able to do it. And after a little while, the posing was fully planned out, and the rough animation was pretty much done. Now if you look at the reference, the effects are actually pretty simple. You have a trail following a weapon, then some rays coming out of the ground, some golden leaves coming off the ground, and a broken glass type texture on the ground. But you see, Toon Squid brushes aren't exactly made for any type of glow, and I really was not sure how I was going to do this. But that was until I came across what was called compositing. Now compositing is where you take your flat animation and actually add a whole lot of cool effects and other stuff to make it look finished and make the characters fit into the environment that they're in. But you see, I don't have After Effects or anything. However, I do have Blender, and I use Blender a lot. And I realized recently Blender has a video editor, and it's actually really powerful. And you guessed it, I decided I would do the compositing in Blender. So, I didn't care about glowy brushes anymore, as I could just do that in composite. So, I kinda scribbled on the effects in a weird way, and since I was not about to draw every single one of those leaves by hand, I decided to use Blender's particle system. Then, I did the final pass for the line art and the weapon, made the character ashy, and after some compositing magic, here it is. Now I think that was a pretty cool recreation in 2D, so let's move on to the next one. By the way, if you want a part 2 with more weapon skill animations, get this video to 50 likes and I'll do it. Up next, Destined Death. I thought this skill would be pretty fun to animate, and it actually was pretty fun to animate. So let's break down what's going on here. Firstly, some red effects start appearing on the sword, then they grow in size a little bit more, and after the character slams it into the ground, these cool looking red and black slashes surround the character, followed by the character getting up. So I started by doing the rough animation, in betweening it, and that only took 2 days. I put it in my server and people thought it looked pretty cool.
Join it.
The only problem is this guy was completely disproportionate, so I had to redraw him again, and again, and again. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. After doing the first part of the rough animation, I drew the effects. I realized that this would be a little harder than Goldbreaker because of the complexity, but this was actually more fun to animate. And after a little while, I got the effects looking pretty good, but then I realized how badly I drew the rough character, so I drew him again, and again, and again. From there, it was just a matter of adding highlights, and then some compositing and fixing some broken effects. You know these little black slashes? Yeah, forever they just look kinda off to me and not like the reference, but after I toggled off the highlights, they look perfectly fine. Lastly, I drew the sword, and I was so happy to have everything finished, so I threw it in compositing, and here's the final animation. Now, these animations have been pretty cool so far in my opinion. However, they've only been from a side perspective. Sure, one has some camera movement, but I know I can do better than this. Now for the last animation, I decided to go all out with Loretta's Slash. I decided to make the animation have dynamic camera movement. I wanted the animation to feel alive, as if you were a part of the action, not just a bystander like the other 2 animations. I quickly made gesture drawings for each frame to get the general idea of what I wanted the movement to look like, while taking perspective into account. Once I had the movement down, I drew a rough pass for what each frame of the character looked like, then I decided to draw the effects using the fill brush. Now this animation was relatively quick compared to the other animations in this video, as this one only took 1 week, but I wanted to make sure the effects stood out and was not plain, so I decided that they would stand out more if I added a bit of texture to it, kinda like this. But that's left for compositing. And after some line art, coloring, and highlights, we are at compositing. This is where it gets much more interesting. You see, remember how the other animations didn't have any backgrounds? Well, I wanted this one to stand out. So I made a 3D model with a quick noise texture to make stars, and then I used a 3D camera to pan around the stars to match the movement of the animation. From there, it was just a matter of adding a lot of gradients and doing more compositing stuff, and here is the final animation. Now here are some clips of people in my Discord server reacting to my animations.
Look at that broken, damaged, unrepairable sword.
Oh boy, this is the one I remember this one.
Wow.
Wow.
That's the first one. It's like,
Honestly, man, I want to replay. Okay, fire. Gone, ///.
yeah, no, that was actually really fun to animate. Wait, can you guys guess how long this took?
5 years.
2 days. I don't know.
Maybe like a month.
Okay, so DEWDAY is the most accurate, but in reality, if you add up all the time, it took more like 2 weeks.
His shorts look oddly oversized.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, wait a minute, I didn't even notice that. Hey, wait a minute.
First thing I noticed.
I just wanted to make them baggy because why not? I guess. This is the second one. Can you guys guess how long this took?
7 days?
I've seen the first thing and it seems pretty short, so I'm gonna guess 2 weeks.
2 months.
Like a week and a half.
Okay, DEWDAY is the most accurate. This one. Now,
Dang
now
it.
it's a week for 5 seconds, literally.
That's beautiful.
Oh, that one had the camera movement. That was great.
That's
That was good.
honestly, I'm not gonna lie, man. I like that. I want to see that again. Replay.
Yeah.
I want to observe the weapon better. Oh.
It's like something that come out.
So it just creates some holy fire and smashes the ground.
Yeah. All right. Playing the animation.
Right.
So this is the first one. But yeah, I think this was pretty fun. So can you emerging? Can you guess how long this took?
2 hours.
Wait, no, five.
This took 2 weeks.
Okay.
But yeah. What's you guys' rating? Emerging, you first.
10 out of 10.
Thanks. What about you, Chadmer?
Same rate, 10 out of 10. I like it.
Thanks.
Credit to all of them is in the description and on screen, so thanks to them for participating.